Journalist Jessica Gallagher joins us now from Lviv with more on this story. So, Jessica, what is the latest in terms of those evacuations?
As you mentioned, Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk came out to say that all women, children, and the elderly have been evacuated. That is essentially to the extent of the information we have, except that she said that the president's order had been carried out. Now, we have heard from the Russian side that 50 civilians were evacuated from the Azovstal steel plant. The question is where did those who were evacuated end up? There have been reports of many people who have been evacuated from Mariupol heading to Russia, having no choice in the matter and being sent to different places within Russia. And some of the other evacuees, we've had about, 150 within the last 48 hours. Some have gone to Zaporizhia, north of Mariupol, which is on the Ukrainian side, and some of the others have gone to Russia. Now, one of the things that's important to remember with the Azovstal steel plant, it is the last remaining stronghold, the holdout for Ukrainians. The rest of Mariupol, which is on the Azov Sea, has essentially been taken over by the Russians. And this steel plant has seen the brunt of the action, continuous air bombardments from the sea, surface-to-air missiles within the last few days as civilians have been trying to be evacuated. There are about 2,000 Ukrainian soldiers who are holed up in this plant, and they are underneath the steel plant, which is about 28 kilometers worth of tunnels and underground places where they've been able to hole up and defend their positions. Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, for the past couple of days, has been begging international aid agencies to help evacuate soldiers. They've refused to leave. Russia has given them an ultimatum, either surrender or die. Now there are many wounded soldiers, and Ukraine is attempting to get them evacuated. Another thing that's really important about Mariupol is that it would be the coup de grace for Russia if they were to take this corner, because essentially it is a land bridge from Crimea in the south to eastern Ukraine. And so it's right on the Azov Sea and near the Black Sea as well. So this would help with supply routes, eastern Ukraine also being next to Russia. And this is a very important point to make out, because Russia is celebrating May 9th, which is Victory Day, on Monday. Natasha?
Okay, Jessica, let's dive into that a little bit more. With Victory Day, so-called Russia's annual celebration on May the 9th coming up, there are concerns that they're going to ramp up their actions in Ukraine. What are you hearing on that front?
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, he gives a nightly address to the nation to give what's happening in the war, what to expect. And he made a very specific plea saying, please do not ignore air raid sirens ahead of Russia's most patriotic holiday, which is on Monday. He's saying, if there are air raid sirens, please go inside. It's your lives. It's your children's lives. And the thinking is that because this is the day, May 9th, Monday, that Russia declared war over Nazi Germany in World War II, that this is the time that Russia would really use its forces and its chances to lord over this holiday, for lack of better words, over the Ukrainians. And also with the situation in Mariupol, this would be seen as a big victory if Russia could take Mariupol. There have been an uptick in attacks and also air raid sirens where I am here in Lviv. We've had about 4 or 5 already today. It's evening time now, but that's definitely an uptick. And there also has been a lot more aerial bombardments throughout the country over the last 24 hours, hitting supply lines so that perhaps weapons and humanitarian aid that's coming from the western part of Ukraine into eastern Ukraine, where the activity and the war is now centered. Russia is trying to stop this. Also in eastern Ukraine, Kharkiv, which is the country's second largest city, it was the very first Soviet capital of Ukraine. There have been pushbacks from the Ukrainian side. So Ukraine is seeing advances there. They've also taken areas in the southern part of the country back from Russia. And Western analysts are saying that Russia is not making the progress that it would like in eastern Ukraine. We saw this also outside of Kiev. In the northeastern parts, and this is when they regrouped into the eastern part of the country. So there has been an uptick in attacks, and President Volodymyr Zelensky is warning residents and everyone who is here in Ukraine to please heed the air raid sirens and also observe curfews. Natasha?
Jessica Gallagher reporting from Lviv. Thank you, Jessica.